guys, we're back for another exciting episode of the Hashtag Wednesday Match Play presented by Eat Sleep Golf. And this is the season finale. Season 3 is coming to an end. And it's been an awesome season. We've had a ton of great guests. And tonight, we're going to cap off Season 3 with Michael Whan from the LPGA. The LPGA is wrapping up their season in Naples, Florida this week at the CME Group Tour Championship here at Tiburon Golf Club. So a very exciting event, and it's an event that I've been a part of for the last 2 years and looking forward to this year as well. So tonight we're going to dive into the LPGA, all that they're doing, and this event itself in particular. So let's welcome Michael Whan to the Hashtag Wednesday Match Play. Michael, how are you this evening?
Hey, thanks for having me. Looks like we're both celebrating a season finale this week.
I didn't even think of that until I just realized that when I was talking about the season finale and then the season wrap up of the LPGA. So it's going to be a fun little interview here, and it's exciting to finally get the chance to see and chat with you. Like I said, I've seen you around Tiburon before, but never been able to step up and introduce myself. But this year, I'm going to find you and we're going to say hello. But you've had quite the career leading up to your role as the commissioner of the LPGA. Give us an overview of where you've come from, and have those prior positions helped you get to where you are today with the LPGA?
Yeah, it's funny. I have 3 kids who are in college now, and they're all stressed about their major. And I always say I'm 53 years old and I'm still undecided. So don't get too excited about it. I finished school in Ohio. I went to work at Procter & Gamble. I became the brand manager at Crest Toothpaste. So if you want to talk tartar control and gum health, I'm your guy. And I really thought I'd probably retire at P&G. I like Cincinnati. My family was from Ohio. My wife's from Columbus. But I had an opportunity when I was about 27 years old to go into the golf business. And I was a kid who grew up caddying, cutting greens, fairways, changing cups. Always been around the game. When I had an opportunity to put that passion together with business, I took it. I went to work for Wilson Golf, and from Wilson, I moved to the West Coast at TaylorMade. When I was at TaylorMade, we got bought by Adidas, so I really got involved in other sports. From there, I left and I ran a hockey equipment company for about 10 years. And then we sold that company in Christmas of 2008. And I made 3 promises to my wife, and your married listeners can relate to this. I promised her, because she loves Southern California, I'd never make her move California. We live in Orlando. I promised I wouldn't go into an airport for a year. I obviously interviewed for this job in that process in New York. And most importantly, I promised her whatever I did next, I wouldn't travel as much as I used to. And now I travel to about 20 states and 20 countries every year. So I'm not a good husband, but at least I'm enjoying being commissioner.
That is awesome. I know that you traveled a lot, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. So the CME Group Tour Championship, which is the season finale for the LPGA Tour, is here in Naples this week. Needless to say, that event is a big deal for the tour and all of the players that are involved. Give us an overview, as if I don't know what's going on. Give us an overview of what that event is and what you have kind of planned for this year.
Well, if you think about the CME Group Tour Championship, it really is it's almost the final cut of the year. We play every week on year for 33 weeks leading into this. And every week on tour, if you finish, kind of over the cut, you'll earn points each week. And only the top 72 point getters in the season are even invited into the CME Group Tour Championship. Once they get into the Tour Championship, we reset those points. So this week, 12 players will have a chance to win an additional $1 million season-long reward, in addition to the $2.5 million purse that's up for grabs in Naples. So if you think about it, they've tried all year just to get in the event. If you get in the event, you're playing for $2.5 million, $500,000 winner check. But on top of that, if you're one of the top 12 players in the points, you have a chance to win the extra $1 million. If one of the top 5 players in the season-long points race, you control your own destiny. So win the event. You not only win the $500,000, but you win the additional $1 million race to the CME Globe. So there's a lot of money. There's a lot of prestige. On Friday night or Thursday night of the event this week, we'll have the Rolex awards dinner where we'll introduce the Player of the Year, the Rookie of the Year, Bear Trophy for lowest scoring average of the year. We'll introduce first-time winners on tour that'll all receive a Rolex. So it's a pretty special week for us. We probably have the majority of our tournaments, the majority of our title sponsors, both of our boards, the LPGA board and the foundation board in town. So Naples is almost like a trade show for us. Everybody we do business with will be in Naples this week.
That's awesome, and it's definitely a fun event to be around. And the LPGA, all events, I've been to several all over the country, and they're fun events to attend as an attendee, just to walk around. You can get up close to the players, and it's just a really fun environment that we've created here, and it's definitely exciting to have it back in Naples again this year. So I got to be honest, a couple of years ago, I kind of felt like the LPGA was kind of hitting a plateau. And in just the last 2-3 years, really has changed kind of the scope of that thought process. And very energetic, a lot of content being created. We'll talk about one of your writers here in a few minutes. Kind of talk a little bit about that shift and what the LPGA has done to kind of put them at the top of everyone's mind when it comes to professional golf.
You know, it's funny. If you jump back 7 or 8 years ago, the LPGA was going global. Like a lot of brands, you know, we were really going global. We had business and players and sponsors coming from all over the world. And I always say going global makes for a great board presentation, but it isn't that much fun. You got to kind of figure it out as you go. And there wasn't a lot of other sports for us to follow. I mean, you know, they play a game at, you know, a game in London, and occasionally, you know, the NBA will play a game in China, but we're a lot different than that. We have players from 46 different countries. We're televised in 175 countries every week. And, you know, we play in 16 different countries just in our season-long tour. So we were in the process of going global, and a lot of our fans, especially U.S. fans, didn't know how to take it. But you jump forward to the day in 2018 where we have fans in virtually every corner of the world. We're televised in every corner of the world. Young girls are learning this game in every corner of the world. The fastest growing segment in golf is girls under the age of 18. So it's really a watermark time for women's golf in general. And the LPGA gets to lead that with these superstar players. I mean, we were at the Olympics 2 years ago, and on the podium were 3 different countries. You know, I've had 5 majors this year, and we've had winners from 5 different countries win our 5 different majors. So it's a truly global sport. And as a result, we're not just interested in the States, but we're interested in Canada and Australia and Japan and Korea. And, you know, virtually every part of the world has got a superstar player playing on this tour. So we really feel like we're the future of sports. I mean, men's golf is catching up. They're just a few years behind us, but that's where sports are going. You know, the best athletes in the world want to play against the best athletes in the world, and they don't just want to do it once every 4 years. They want to do it every week, and that's what the LPGA is. So if you came out to Naples, expect to see 30 different country flags. Expect to see players who grew up in all different parts of the world. Most of them live in America now, but expect to see TV cameras with station names from 10, 12, 15 different countries doing interviews with a player after she finishes a round. It's truly an exciting time in the sport, but an even more exciting time at the LPGA because the world's watching, not just the U.S.
That's awesome. And you're right. Those flags definitely fly high from countries that sometimes I look at that flag and I'm like, I don't even know where that is. So that's very cool that it's gotten to that point. Now, I mentioned Ron Sirak is a gentleman I met online. I met him on Twitter. I mentioned earlier that there were some people that are connected to the LPGA in terms of content. He's one of them. This guy pumps out so much content. I don't even know how he sleeps at night because he's got so much content coming from him. So he is very, very popular on Twitter, as are you, sir. First off, thank you for the follow last week. I appreciate that. And secondly, you are so busy. How do you have time to tweet?
Well, just 2 different topics there. First, on the Twitter front, I mean, if you think about it, I'm the commissioner of a tour made up primarily of 20-year-olds. So if I didn't tweet, I probably wouldn't be too in touch with what's going on with my players, what's going on in the fan interaction with my players. And quite frankly, it's a great way for me to get instant feedback from the fans, from our TV partners, from our sponsors, and our players on what's going on. It's the fastest way to communicate. And once I kind of came in kicking and screaming, I wasn't sure I wanted to be on Twitter. And now, I mean, of course, I'm as addicted as anybody else. I get my news there. I talk to my, family there. I say, for me, I don't always love it. My wife kind of laughs at me because you wake up in the morning and 300 fans tell you you're an idiot before you even have breakfast. But you're connected. I feel like I know what's going on. This year we're playing in Hainan Island, China. I just got back from Asia a week and a half ago. I was over there for 4 weeks, but we still had 2 more weeks to go. So it's nice to wake up and hear from players and sponsors and fans in China and kind of know what's going on. I feel a lot more connected than in the old world. So, you got to take the good with the bad, but the best part of it is I really feel, I feel like I have more of a personal relationship, not only with our players and our caddies and our sponsors, but the people who follow us day in and day out.
That's awesome. Well, you are doing a great job with it. So keep up. And I mean, share some of those followers with me. All right. You've got like over 10,000 followers. I mean, my gosh, you're as popular as anybody out there. So
speaking of, I'm kind of like a head referee. Sometimes people follow me just to tell me how much they don't like me, but at least it starts the conversation.
So you just mentioned that you were in Asia. The LPGA was in Shanghai not too long ago for the Buick LPGA Shanghai. I absolutely love that city. I mean, it's the biggest city in the world, and just it is an awesome place to hang out. Did you have some time to kind of look around, or were you just focused on the golf tournament?
You know, it's funny. I told players when I introduced it to the players in a player meeting, I said that Shanghai's my favorite city in Asia. And a lot of players came up to me afterwards and said, why? And I said, it kind of reminds me of San Francisco. It's a big, fun city. People live downtown. You'll meet people from 20 different countries every time you go to dinner. As you know, every night's a light show. It's kind of like going to Vegas or Disney at night when you go to dinner there. You're in a high rise and there's LED lights floating and people are going back on the boats. And it's just a really alive and vibrant city. And we have probably 4 or 5 other sponsors who have businesses in Shanghai. So I go to Shanghai anyway to meet other sponsors all the time. So it was exciting to bring the tour to Shanghai. It's a very different city. People, it's kind of like when you meet somebody who says they've been to America, but the only city they've been to is New York. New York's a great city, but it doesn't represent all of America. When people say they've been to China, but they've only been to Beijing, I always say you gotta add Shanghai to the list because it's a whole different experience. So yeah, I was there for the week, and I got to experience a lot of Shanghai. I've been there enough to know before, but this is the first time I took my wife. It was nice to see Shanghai through her eyes because she was seeing it for the first time.
That's really cool. And yes, you're right. Beijing is not even in the same conversation as Shanghai. I mean, there are some cities. I grew up in
Chicago. When somebody says they've only been to New York, I say, buddy, you haven't seen the real U.S.
Now, Roberta Bowman was recently named the Chief Brand and Communications Office. So tell me a little bit more about that, what that role looks like, and what her role is going to do for the LPGA going forward.
Well, Roberta's path to the LPGA is anything but normal. It probably is about as abnormal as you get. I met Roberta when she was interested in joining the LPGA board. This was probably 8 years ago. She joined the LPGA board for the first 3 years, decided to do for 3 more. The players unanimously voted her in for a second term. While she was in her second term, she got voted as the board chair. So she was literally my boss for her last 2 years on the board. She's a retired exec from Duke Energy, was the chief communication officer at Duke Energy for much of her career. And I just never met a more strategic thinker, a better person in crisis, a better person who understands brand and connecting with the fans. So I kind of called her out of the blue. This was probably 4 or 5 months ago. I was in Evian in France, and she was in Hilton Head, where she's retired. And I said, I got a crazy one for you. I hope you're sitting down. And as I kind of told her what I was thinking about doing, she said, wait a minute, Mike, I did your personnel reviews. You're actually talking about doing mine? And we kind of talked. And remember at the end of the call, she said, yeah, I'm retired. I don't think this is for me. And then right at the end of the call, she said, maybe we should talk again next week. And I thought, ooh, there's the opening I was looking for. So we talked for about a month or so, and we finally built a plan. And so, yeah, as of this week, actually, Roberta is full-time with us as our chief brand and communications officer. And pretty much anything that we do that involves our brand or communicating with our fans or our players or our tournament sponsors will go through Roberta. And it's just great to have her on the team. She's a natural-born coach. She's an incredible mentor. She mentored me as my boss. I hope she continues to do that even on my team. But she brings a level of senior leadership that's just you just can't find anywhere else. And most of my team, in fact, almost all of my team, already knew her and loved her because she'd been a board chair. So it was an easy transition. She already knows the players. She already knows the board, obviously, and she already knows the team. So having her as part of my executive leadership team is a humongous bonus.
That's awesome. I knew she had a lot of history, so it's going to be fun to see what she can bring to the table in 2019 and onward. Now, one of the things that you like to tell players is to act like a founder. What does that mean to you? And have you seen a lot of these young ladies? I mean, you talk about being 20 years old or less. I mean, have you seen any of these players take that to heart and start acting like a founder?
It's funny. My first tournament I ever went to was a couple of months before I was commissioner. I'd accepted the job, but we hadn't announced me as commissioner yet. And I went to Houston. We had a tournament there, and I met one of our original founders, Louise Suggs, and we met in a lobby of the hotel. And she reached out and grabbed my arm and she said, kid, you only have one job here. For as long as the baton, as she said, the baton is in your hand, you have to run as hard and as fast as you can. And when you start getting tired, you slap that baton in somebody else's hand, because that's what we did. And I said, what does that mean? And she said, while the baton's in your hand, every day, any day, you do whatever it takes to leave this game better for the next generation than how you found it. She said, none of us were going to get rich when we started the LPGA, and none of us did. There was a player, won't name the player, walked by the lobby and she said, you see that player? And I said, yeah. And she said, 2 weeks ago, she won out here. And I said, yeah. And she goes, she made more money in winning than I made in my entire career, and I won 66 times. So And she didn't say it with any bitterness. She said it with pride, that she said, we committed to make this game better for our daughters than it was for us. You got to make sure that your staff and your current players have the same commitment to the future of the game. So when I tell players that, or my staff, we end every staff meeting with 4 words: act like a founder, and then we all leave. And that just means do something today, tomorrow, this week to leave the game better for the next generation of women's golfers than you found it. I mean, we're proud to tell you that in 2010, when this team came on board, we were introducing about 4,500 girls a year to the game through our LPGA USGA girls golf program. So 4,500 girls a year, that's plenty, but we never really thought we were going to change the face of the game at that rate. This year, in 2018, we'll introduce over 85,000 girls to the game. So 10 years later, we've gone from 4,500 girls a year to over 85,000 girls a year. And that's why, used to, if you look back 10 years ago, if you looked at junior golf, it looked just like adult golf. 80% men, and maybe 85% men, 15% women. If you look at junior golf today, a third of junior golfers are girls. So I always tell people that the future of this game is going to be more female than it's ever been before, because junior golf has never been this female, this diverse, this non-white male, as in terms of its just makeup. So the future of the game is going to look different. And that's when we think about Act Like a Founder. That's the commitment we made in 2010, that as long as we got the baton in our hand, we're going to do something to leave this game more female and more female friendly than it was when we saw it.
Wow, that's awesome. I can get chills just hearing that, of her grabbing your arm and talking about the baton. And I love that. That's really cool. And that's leadership in itself right there. Now, you have said that you see and have a significant interest in a PGA LPGA combo event. What would that look like? And is that something that we might see in 2019?
Well, so the bottom line is we got together with the PGA Tour. I guess it was in 2017, and it was myself, Jay Monahan, Tim Fincham, and John Pedani at the time. And we just got together in a room. It was at the Players Championship, and Tim Fincham said, "How can I help you, Mike? I mean, what you're doing is impressive. We like what's happening in women's golf. How can the PGA Tour be of advantage?" And I could hear my dad in the back saying, "When somebody offers to help, you let them. Like, it'll be bigger than your pride." And I thought, here's a guy who's running the tour 10 times my size. And so I said, well, Tim, Jay, there's a lot of ways you can help. And we started talking about, so he said, give me a few. So we rattled off a few. And one of them was, let's play together. Let's give the fans, let's give the media, let's give even what our players would find really fun and different and interesting. So we built the team. So we had 4 things that came out of that. One of them was, let's work on a joint event. And that team's been meeting now for probably 9 months, meeting on different ideas. At the time when I said that, I realized that Tim played 47 weeks a year. They don't have much of an off season. So every time I'd say, how about this date? He'd say, oh, sorry, we already played then. But the good news is we're committed to creating an event or 2 or 3 where we play together. We're already have a couple events we're going to play overseas with some other tours. And I think we're not too far away where you'll be seeing a PGA, LPGA, whether that's a showcase event, whether that's just a few players or a full field event, doesn't matter to me. I don't think it matters to them. We would really like to create an environment where men and women are playing together, no different than at your facility here in Naples, here at the Ritz. You'll see Lexi playing, in the Greg Norman event here in a few weeks. So it just creates a new buzz, a new excitement. And Brittany Lincecum played in the Barbasol event on the PGA Tour earlier this summer, and that created a new wow factor. So I know the players will like it. I know the media will like it, and I'm quite convinced the fans will like it. So we just think it'd be a nice gift to give back to golf.
That's awesome. That would be fun. And I think Lexi just likes Naples because she plays in the CME, she plays in the QBE, she's got her own little parking space. Like, I think she likes playing here. I'm just saying. Now,
well, I'll just be honest with you. All of us like any event we could drop to.
That's a good point. So we're always trying to grow the game of golf. LPGA is doing it. The PGA Tour is doing it. Troon's doing it. Tiburon's doing it. We're always trying to grow the game of golf. In your opinion, from where you sit at the head of the LPGA, what kind of support can golf clubs give to growing the game of golf and to bringing women into the game of golf?
Well, it's a real simple answer, and that is start a girls' golf program and make sure when you start it, it's girls only. What we've seen is when you get a young group of boys and girls together, age 7 to 12, and they learn the game together, in the first couple hours, the boys start saying, I hit my 790 yards. How far did you hit yours? Some of the girls don't want to be competitive yet, don't want to get into that mano-a-mano struggle. When we get a bunch of girls together and they learn the game together, the retention rate's over 70%. When they get together in a mixed, it tends to become more closer to 25 to 30%. So what we see is girls coming back, not only time and time again, but year after year again. So creating an all-girls environment is the key to getting young girls to not only find the game interesting, but find the golf course a friendly and exciting place. You know, and I know, because we're around a lot of golf courses, sometimes for a 50-year-old woman, it's not comfortable to walk into a pro shop. It's really uncomfortable for a 9-year-old girl who thinks that there's a dress code and there's certain ways they have to act. So if you can get a lot of them together on a range, and if they want to talk about phone covers, or if they want to hit wiffle balls, or if they just want to have fun on a golf course and not hit a ball in this lesson, then we find that great. And so the best thing that's happened about girls golf is the retention rate is huge when you get a bunch of young girls together. And if you're somebody at a golf course and doesn't know how to start that, go online at LPGA.com, find us at Girls Golf, and we'll help you get a program started. I mean, we've got them virtually all over the U.S. We now have other countries starting girls golf programs too. And like I said, the growth is staggering. And it's not just, a lot of charities and grow the game programs will tell you about their numbers. And I always say, it doesn't matter how many girls are playing girls golf. What matters is what's going on in NGF, in National Golf Foundation numbers. And that's where we're seeing girls under the age of 18 playing this game like we haven't seen in 100 years. So put all the programs aside, this one is actually showing up in the bottom line, girls playing the game.
That's awesome. Well, you're halfway done. That was the hard part. But before we jump into the back nine, don't forget to subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the subscribe button down below. If you don't want to look at us, that's okay. You can listen to us on iTunes and Google Play and a podcast. Subscribe there. I can't announce it yet, but whenever season 4 gets started here in a few weeks, got a really, really big announcement about podcasts, so stay tuned for that. This episode of the Hashtag Wednesday Match Play, as all, are presented by Eat Sleep Golf, and we're all a part of the Golf Radio Network. And big news coming from the Golf Radio Network. We have an international show that just hit, and I'm going to get those guys. They're over in the UK. I'm going to get them on the show in season 4, a little cross-promotional activity going there. So hit subscribe, and if on YouTube, hit subscribe, turn on the notifications. That way, every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m., boom, you get an email, and you don't even have to look for the episode. Now, your back nine is going to be fun, a little bit more golf and personal related. I know you're a golfer, so you ready for your back nine?
Unfortunately, I usually don't play well in the back nine, but let's give it a shot.
Well, hey, the Gold Course back nine is the best 9 holes in Naples, in my opinion. So now LPGA.
My dad tells me my attention deficit disorder does not work for me for 18 holes. I should have been a 7-hole player.
That's 7-hole player. That's not a bad idea, actually. So Daytona Beach, that's not far from the LPGA offices. Have you ever been to the Daytona 500? I know it's a different sport. Go fast, turn left. But have you ever been to that race?
I have. 2 things about Daytona 500. Usually, it usually happens on the week we play in Singapore. So 8 out of 9 years as commissioner, I've been in Singapore. But 1 year I didn't go to Singapore and took my kids to the 500, which was awesome. Loved it so much that I ended up that following Christmas during our off season, I went and did one of those Richard Petty driving schools. I have a slight problem with speed, not only in how fast I talk, but how fast I drive. So I went to a Richard Petty driving school and got to take about 15 laps around the oval there, and that was a memorable moment for me.
That's really cool. Now, how fast did you get? I mean, it was like 100, 115?
I had my fastest lap averaged 169, which I didn't know it at the time. If I'd known that, I would have really slowed down.
That's really fast.
Yeah, it was really fast.
So the CME, it's at Tiburon this week on the Gold Course. It's never been in better shape. But do you get out before the girls tee off to get a few holes in? Am I going to see you out there on the golf course?
I'll play in the Wednesday Pro-Am, so that'll be my experience. And then usually I'll try to get down there sometime in the off season and tee it up as well. So, but I'll definitely be part of the Pro-Am of this week's CME.
Awesome. What's your favorite golf movie? There's a whole bunch of them to choose from.
That's a good question. So I kind of grew up in the Caddyshack era. So, I mean, I was right in the core age of Caddyshack. So, just like everybody else, I'll do the Bill Murray impressions, on a golf course. But probably favorite movie is Tin Cup. I'm not exactly sure why. I worked at TaylorMade at the time that movie came out. We were involved in that movie. So Costner was using our club. So it was bigger than the movie at the time. It was kind of a burner bubble moment for us.
Burner bubble. I remember those days. Oh, my goodness.
Those paid for a lot of Christmas gifts with my kids.
So you've played a lot of golf courses. You've got to have a favorite. What's the one course you've played that sits at the top of your list?
I would probably put Cypress out west as number one. Cypress and Pine Valley to me are, 1, 2, and you can mix them in any order. But I played Cyprus. I've only played Cyprus twice, and both days were the foggy morning. You hit it into the fog off of one, and by the time you finished, it was 65 degrees and not a cloud in the sky. So I got one of these perfect northwest days both times. There's usually not many people on that golf course. So that was good. Pine Valley is one of those, you go there, you stay overnight. It's really, I think it's the greatest range experience. I could just warm up at Pine Valley and go home and consider that a really good day. So those two stand out for me. Greatest golf memories. I've had the opportunity to play Augusta, I think 4 times, and any one of those 4 times would be my greatest day on a golf course. But I would probably put Cyprus as the greatest golf course experience.
Wow, that's cool. I mean, Augusta taking 3rd place. I mean, that's pretty good.
Well, Augusta would be number 1 if they hosted a women's event, but now I got to put them number 3.
All right, well, take that. They're listening. They're watching.
They're always watching.
So you've added a lot of events to the LPGA Tour schedule in the last couple of years. Any more that you're going to add in 2019?
It's funny. When I started in 2010, we had 22 events. I told everybody that the right number was 32 events. My players wanted an off season. Their commissioner wanted an off season. And because we play all over the world, there's certain weeks we can't play, just too much travel to put in. So I always thought 32 would be our number. It's been 34 for the last couple of years, and I think 34 will probably be our number. 33 to 34 is the right number of weeks from us. If I played more than 34 weeks, my top players wouldn't play anymore. So I would just fly around the world apologizing to more title sponsors on why more players weren't there. By playing 34 times, most of my top players play 27, 28 times. My other players get a chance to play as much as they want. We get a 2-month off season, which is not only important, I think, a little bit for the game and for our fans, but important for my players to set down the clubs, rehabilitate a little bit physically, and then come up fresh and start the next season. So we're at the size schedule we want. The biggest growth we've seen in the last 4 or 5 years has all been about purses and TVs. For a while, it was just about adding numbers. Most recently, and we'll announce 2019 schedule in about a week, but same thing, it'll be 33, 34 events. We'll have another $4 or $5 million in purses. We'll have more network and Golf Channel TV coverage. And I think, 8 or 9 of our events will all have purse increases. We'll have a couple of purses that'll move to some of the largest in women's golf history. So it's really now about creating bigger stages and bigger financial opportunities for these best 200-300 golfers on the planet.
That's awesome. Now you fly all over the place. Do you have a preferred airline, or is it just whatever makes sense?
Well, unfortunately for every airline, I just don't like flying. So I have a bad back. I've had 2 back surgeries. I travel with my own 6-foot by 1-foot strip of 3-inch memory foam that I roll out onto the seat. So I'm a big hit in the over 90 group because everybody wants to know about my seat cushion. I fly Delta probably more than any other airline, but when I go overseas, I definitely fly ANA. They're a partner of us. And, if you've never flown ANA Airlines, you need to, because it's service like it used to be. I mean, it's an incredible experience. So to me, if I'm overseas, I'm usually on ANA. If I'm in the States, I'm generally Delta.
I've not flown ANA, so you just convinced me. I just flew JetBlue for the first time, and that was awesome. They walk up to my seat and they're like, "Mr. Potts, what would you like to drink?" And I'm like, "What? Like next level? Like it's so unexpected." But I like that tagline, "Service like it used to be." I mean,
it's if you're old as I am and you remember flying in the 70s, and that level of service, that level of room, that level of sort of flight attendant to a passenger, you just don't get anything like that that you get at ANA. So it's why they became a partner of ours. I mean, we loved them before they loved us.
Now, be honest. How far do you hit your driver?
250, 255. I mean, with a good tailwind.
That's pretty good. I'm not sure I hit it much further if I hit it that far.
Well,
now,
I hit it just long enough to have more than 50% of the tour hit it past me.
That's not a bad stat right there.
That's reality.
Now, this is not LPGA related. He's above me. He's all around me. I drive a red and black car because he wears red on Sunday. But I have to ask this. This is PGA Tour style. Do you think Tiger breaks Jack's record? Why or why not?
4 years ago, I said it was a done deal. It was just a matter of how many. Today, I definitely think he wins another major. Whether or not he wins 4 more majors, I think probably unlikely. But greatest thing for us, for me personally as a fan, for me as the LPGA commissioner, and for the game of golf, is that he's back and he's playing at a high level. He raises all boats. There's no doubt. When the PGA Tour is on before us and then we come on, our TV numbers are higher. When the PGA Tour comes on after us and we finish into the PGA Tour and he's playing in the event, our viewership is higher. More people want to talk to me about golf in the airport when Tiger's doing well. More media is covering the event. So, Tiger is one of those unique, Michael Jordan kind of characters where my kids don't watch a lot of golf. They walk in, I'm always watching golf. If I'm watching men's golf, they say, "Is Tiger playing?" If I say yes, they sit down. And if I say no, they move on. So, I see the same impact on my kids. So, yeah, Tiger is a freak as it relates to interest that he creates and the fact that he can play this good at that level. So, for us, I like having him back. I like watching him as a fan, but from a purely selfish perspective, he helps our numbers, and so as a result, he's good for me in my job and in just my love of the game.
That's awesome. Final question of your hashtag Wednesday Match Play and of season 3 is, what's next? It sounds like you got a lot of stuff going on. You got a lot of things looking forward to in 2019, but in the immediate future, what's next for Michael Whan?
Well, we're introducing 3 things for 2019. One will be kind of good for both of us. It's in Orlando. It's the Diamond Resort Tournament of Champions. We're going to start our season in Orlando, so I get to add a second event that I can literally drive to. In that one, I can drive home at night, which is even more unbelievable. But we're going to start with the winners from the past 2 years in Orlando, second week in January. And Diamond Resorts is it's a party and a golf tournament in one. So each player will play with 2 celebrities. They'll be playing with comedians and singers and athletes. It'll be a great way to kick off the season. There's a party and a concert every night. So it's kind of a golf tournament and a concert in one every day. So it'll be a fun way to kick off. That's one of the new events we're adding, and we like it because it's a new and unique format. We're adding an event in Midland, Michigan with Dow. That's going to be a team event. When we saw what Zurich did on the PGA Tour and went to the team event, I remember saying to my team, I wish we'd have thought of that. I thought it was a really cool event. It was for real points. It really mattered in world rankings and their race to the FedEx Cup. So we literally asked them if we could sort of steal everything they built and created it. And then when we sat down with Dow and said, our players would love this. So 2-person team event is going to happen with Dow. And then we added a new event in a place called Busan, Korea. It's Korea's second largest city. It's the Chicago of Korea. Still 6 million people in Busan, Korea. And BMW Korea will be our title sponsor. So every player will have a 7 Series BMW and a driver for the week. And it's going to be a pretty special. So we're pretty excited about the 3 new events that we're announcing. Are all unique, different, like nothing we've done before. So I like the fact that we're taking some chances, not only on where we're playing and when we're playing, but even the event we're putting on.
That's awesome. Well, it's going to be an exciting event this week, wrapping up the 2018 season here in Naples, and it sounds like 2019 is just going to hit the ground running. So very exciting times for the LPGA. Michael, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been so much fun getting to, learn more about you and your career, as well as what you've been doing with and for the LPGA. Look forward to seeing you in the next couple of days here in Naples, and maybe we can actually spend a couple of seconds and say hello and shake hands. So, I mean,
we'll do it. I just want to say special thanks to CME and for the Ritz for hosting us. I mean, we look forward to this event all year. No matter where you are in the world, you're always talking about the race to CME and getting to the Ritz Golf Club. And when you get here, you realize just how good life is. So on behalf of all of us, thanks for the hospitality. We love finishing our season here. And contractually, and because we want to, we'll be finishing there for years and years to come. That's awesome. Well, Tiburon Golf Club loves to have you, and I'll speak on behalf of everyone at Tiburon that we've got this golf course in about as good a shape as we can get it, and we look forward to the LPGA tearing it up this week. 19 under won it last year, so I don't know if they're going to get that low this year, but we'll see. These girls got game, but I'll do my best to replace my divots during the Pro-Am. Yes, please. Again, thank you for coming on the show. This has been fantastic, and as always, on the hashtag Wednesday Match Play, as we wrap up Season 3, is you have to remember to eat, sleep, golf.